Let's continue our conversation now with my old congressional colleague, former United States Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan of Illinois, who joins us from Washington, D.C., where he is now the president of Flanagan Consulting. How history might have been different if this man from Illinois were sitting on the other end of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Mike, 20 years ago, when we were taking the oath of office, there was another member of Congress, a two-termer from Ohio, who was the chairman of the House Republican Conference, took a detour, became chairman of the Education Committee, then came back as Speaker of the House. Will John Boehner see his speakership continue in the vote tomorrow once Congress is convened?
I think he will. I think he will, and I think he will get fewer negative votes, fewer votes against him from the conference than he got a term ago. I think John Gizzi observed that earlier today on your program, and I agree with him. I think Boehner is even more solidly in his numbers than he was before.
Well, we hear about these 11th hour challenges and the frustration on the right. Of course, Javier Manjarrez said a lot of people are happy to talk about it behind closed doors, but when push comes to shove and you have to stand up and publicly tell the world whom your choice is for Speaker, does that essentially ensure Speaker Boehner's reelection?
No, I think that's certainly part of it, when you have to actually stand up there and yell someone else's name. And as you know, in that vote, it's not a yes or no vote, it's a name vote. You have to yell a name, and people will yell Boehner or someone else's name, as the case may be. And I think that what you're going to have is folks who are reminded of the work Boehner did for the conference in this last election. He raised more money than any speaker in history. He helped build the majority, he helped grow the majority, and a lot of members are there only because Boehner helped them to get there, because he is a good, committed Republican, and we can't lose sight of that fact. He might be a little soft on immigration, he might be a little soft on the edges on a lot of these things, but he is going to do the will of the conference, and I think the members understand that. And is there irritation over these votes at the end of last year to get them up on and off to accommodate the Senate and the President to get it done? Absolutely. Should there be? Absolutely. And Boehner will pay that price in the coming year. But I think holding back Homeland Security and ICE that's contained in there and the immigration issues for a short time rather than through the full vote of the year is going to help him. And they're going to generate a bill, and the Republicans will have a great opportunity to come together with John on these issues. And
when you say come together with John, the border bill that you think leadership will draft, will it offer some, quote, guest worker program? In other words, will conservatives see the establishment cave to the amnesty or the, quote, comprehensive reform that so many of the establishment figures in the party want to see?
Well, I don't call it reform, and I know why you called it reform, because that's what the establishment calls it. I don't call it reform. I call it what it is. It is amnesty, and I don't think you're going to see it in the bill. But you're going to have to find some way to attract some Democrats to the bill if you want the President to sign it. If you're going to hold up the entire Homeland appropriation based upon this, we could do that. But you're going to eventually close that department, and the media, larger media will call it a government shutdown. You have to find some way to fund Homeland through the President to get it done. I'm not sure how you do that without building a bill that comes to some level to which the President is willing to compromise. As I observed earlier on your show last week, on the noontime show last week, the President is in no mood to compromise. So you're going to have to build some relationships. You're going to have to find some way to bring him over on this. And the only one who can do that are Democrats. You're going to have to find Democrats in the House and the Senate to find a way through to do this. I think it can be done, but I think it's going to take longer than a couple of days.
Well, Mike, you come from a state where the labor movement is alive and well. Senator Jeff Sessions is suggesting, at least from the vantage point of a grassroots Republican guy, that we've forgotten about working Americans, that amnesty just sets up cheap labor. It would seem to me that a lot of those union Democrats, those blue-collar Democrats, would hear that argument and in turn put pressure on the White House. So might we see some sort of bill that at long last gets tough on illegal immigration?
I think we can. I think we really can see a bill, and I think this President can help with that. He would never call it that, and he'd never contemplate that it is that, but I think we can. And following Sessions' observations on this, apart from being real good on the issue, he's also a brilliant legislator. cozying up with big labor to try and help get this done is a terrific idea, because you lose then the patina of, you know, crazy people in three-cornered hats wandering around the border. This is a much bigger issue than some Tea Party craziness. This is the issue of the future of our nation. And you don't have to be a bitter partisan to agree that we don't want people who've broken our laws to be invited in the country to stay. We have to make some accommodation for people who have been hurt by the actions of their parents and others who have brought them here. That probably has to happen at some point. But it doesn't mean we have to offer them citizenship. And there's a lot of ways to be able to solve this. I think Boehner wants to do that. I think the president wants to do that. But I think the president wants to do more. And that's what needs to be denied.
Well, even though I might resemble that remark about Tea Party craziness, I understand the assessment. To my good old friend, Michael Patrick Flanagan, sir, we thank you for your time and your comments, and America's Forum will continue.